Hello and welcome to Canadian Beats Media. My name is Shane Christopher Neal. Today, I sit down and chat with Nuela Charles. She's an alternative soul artist based out of Edmonton, Alberta, and her latest album, The Grand Hustle, which came out in 2016, is the ultimate comeback story. You live, you learn, and you fight for what you want. This is the second album from singer-songwriter Nuela Charles, and it's a culmination of 4 very transformative years of discovery, love, loss, and recovery. Drenched in James Bond-inspired cinematic strings, soul-infused rhythms, and introspective lyrics, Nuela is converting fans one listener at a time. Recently nominated for a 2018 JUNO Award for Adult Contemporary Album of the Year, Nuela is gearing up to release brand new music in 2018, beginning with her latest single, Do It Right. Today, for Canadian Beats Media, we sit down and talk to Nuela Charles.
This podcast is exclusive to Canadian Beats Magazine. Check it out at canadianbeats.ca.
All right, ready to rock and roll, or kind of... we're going to rock and roll no matter what we do, but good time. Nuela Charles is joining me today, and I love this quote: cocked, locked, and ready to be shot onto the world stage with a soulful voice that may one day fill the Amy Winehouse-shaped holes in everyone's hearts. That's a great quote. And how do you live to that expectation? Amy Winehouse, eh? Like that's a premier talent too.
I know, it kind of blew my mind that they chose to say that. It was very humbling, but I'll take it. I mean, there's no better comparison in my mind than to an Amy Winehouse or an Adele or, those great vocalists.
And it's funny because I was watching your video before I read this. Okay, I'm watching your videos. And there was something I'm like, it reminds me of something. And then I read that quote and I went, there you go. It's Amy Winehouse. Exactly. I mean,
yeah.
I could close my eyes and kind of hear that. So I take it that's something that you didn't think of before until the kind of quote came out, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have that super throwback kind of soulful voice. So to have them say that, I appreciate it. But at the same time, I can kind of see the similarities, just in the sense that we're both pretty sassy in our music, and we're not really too afraid to say what's on our mind. So I totally appreciate it, and I'm not planning on living up to it, but just appreciating it and working my way towards kind of the global stature that she had, which was pretty huge.
Well, your stature is pretty big. You're up for a JUNO for Album of the Year, Adult Contemporary Album of the Year. The JUNOs are going to be Sunday, March the 25th at the Rogers Centre in Vancouver. So tell us a little bit about that. It's for The Grand Hustle. And how did that come about? When did you hear about it? And what was your reaction when you first heard it?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that the nominations were happening, but I ended up sleeping through just because of the time difference. I slept through like the first hour and a half, so when I got up, my phone had felt like it was on fire, and I was like, what's happening? And so someone I knew was actually at the nomination announcement, sent me a video of it, and I was just freaking out. And then I feel like that the whole rest of the day was spent just on the computer, just like, thank you, replying to everybody, and just trying to figure out the next month of what I need to do.
and so when did you hear about this? How long ago?
It was the beginning of February.
Oh, so not that long ago. Okay.
Not that long ago, yeah. So it kind of shifted other plans to the side and kind of became my priority, which is a good priority to have.
Absolutely. So The Grand Hustle, you talk about discovery, love, loss, and recovery. So maybe explain that. Were those your words that kind of talked about it, or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I set out to write the next record, I wanted to have a theme and a story, and so The Grand Hustle just talks about kind of losing it all and being at the lowest low to then slowly regaining your life back and just taking control and just the ups and downs through that, and just putting kind of a musical soundtrack to that kind of a story. And so I think it turned out pretty good.
Absolutely.
I just didn't want it to be, just one love song after another. And so I think we were able to give a assortment of.
So are you the primary songwriter? Are you the only songwriter? Do you co-write with other people?
Yeah, for this record specifically, I co-wrote, so it was myself and my producer, Ari Rhodes. And then we kind of treated it like a songwriting camp, like one of the pop major label songwriting camps where we brought in a different writer each day to kind of help breathe new life into the sessions. Because after a while, if it's just the two of us, it kind of gets redundant and it's not as fun sometimes.
Well, and you're
So
getting
we
some
did
new
bring,
creative outside ideas too, right? To help you
yeah,
build on the
exactly.
song.
Yeah, so it was really great, and everyone, like I had sent out kind of the premise of the record, so they all had an idea coming into the sessions, but each session was different, and we chose, like, we touched on the different parts or the different timeline of the story for each song, so it worked out really well, and I'm glad I did it that way for that record.
So talk about the lead single from that album, Crumbling Down. Great song. And why was that chosen as the single?
I think Crumbling Down was chosen as the single just because it hit a bit harder than the rest and it was a bit more catchier. I really like the whole cinematic vibe of songs and bringing that out. And so we thought it would fit well on radio, and CBC Radio did like it, which was really awesome. And just the visual for it in terms of the music video, I kind of had a clearer understanding of what I wanted to do than the rest of them. And so when it came down to choosing the first single, it just made sense. So
now you performed on CBC Music, right? Because I was watching that video. So where was that? Was that in Toronto? And how cool was that experience? Because it looked pretty awesome.
yeah, that was the CBC First Play Live, and that was awesome. It was also kind of stressful because it was in Toronto, but it was also I think it was July before the record came out in November. So all the songs were pretty fresh for like the band and I. And so going through it, we're just really thankful that we were able to stop and start at some points because it was, just filmed
Right.
and not live to air. But it was cool, There's a lot of things that we would do differently now, obviously, is you grow with the songs and they develop a bit more live, but definitely an amazing experience. I'm really thankful for it.
It's funny you say that because, and I'm a rock guy, but I would listen to an album that would come out and it'd be a rock album, and I'd go and listen to the band play live 10 years later. And I'm a drummer, so I would notice nuances that the drummer would play now that were a lot different. And I think it's over the years, you hear songs different. You hear parts of the instruments different. You hear all those little things that make you change things a little bit throughout the years, right? So I can understand what you're saying. You're playing an album that you've never played. And I'm sure 5 years from now, it's going to sound a lot different, right? Those same songs.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And even now, like in rehearsals and stuff, we'll have, the drummer will be like, what if we add a break to this part or do like the syncopated thing? And they're all very like trained and well versed in all things music like the technical side, and
Sure.
I'm not as much.
Now, do you have a full-time band that plays with you then?
Good.
You have a full-time band? Yeah, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I have four guys that have been with me since 2012. So
That's awesome.
Nice to have that continuity, and they grow with the material and then add their own input to the live show. So it's pretty awesome.
So there's a couple things that describe you. Soulful vocals is one. So where does that come from? Did you take vocal lessons? Is it something that you've just learned over the years? Because I hear it, obviously, when I'm listening to it, I'm like, yeah, they're definitely soulful vocals. How do you describe your vocals? And again, was it something that you went through lessons or just something you have a natural talent for?
Yeah, I mean, like growing up, in our house, it was like Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston. Like when I hit my teens, it was Alanis Morissette. So it was just kind of listening to amazing vocalists. And then, once I started to take it a bit more seriously, I did take vocal lessons for like one semester, but it just was the worst.
That's no fun, is it? No, I know.
It was just the worst. And so a lot of it comes out of just experimenting. And, I play piano, but I'm self-taught. So it's what do I hear? And I play to what I hear, and just being not afraid to push. And definitely like I can hear the difference in my voice from today, from like 4 or 5 years ago, just the growth and
right.
just the depth of it. And so it's been really interesting to watch. But yeah, I tried the lesson thing. It just, I don't know. Like there is
I get it.
definitely merit to it.
I totally
but
get it.
just, yeah, stylistically, it just wasn't for me.
So the next comment is captivating stage presence. And I've watched the video, as I've said, and you do. Have you learned that? Did you have help in choreography lessons, or just something that you're comfortable on stage? Because you can tell you're very, very comfortable when you're up there singing.
Yeah, I mean, like there was never any, like I took dance as a child, but like I don't dance on stage, right? So it's not really relevant. But I feel when I get on stage, I kind of just become more, not a different person, but like I become alive, and that's just where I like to be, and I just feel free, and so yeah, the stage is kind of my second home.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just I don't know, it just brings out a different side of me, which people have told me like you're super different on stage than you are off stage, because off stage I'm this quiet kind of like shy person, and on stage it's just like I'm Nuela Charles. Yeah.
You opened for Ziggy Marley, right? How was that experience?
That was amazing. That was one of my first major like opening slots, and his audience was definitely very receptive, and it was at the Jack Singer Concert Hall in Calgary, so that in and of itself was an amazing experience. But yeah, just super cool. I mean, super random for like someone of like my kind of style,
right? Yes,
to open for like a famous like reggae artist. So, but it was awesome. So super awesome.
So for you, you live in Edmonton, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the music scene like there for bands to play? Is there a lot of opportunity for bands there? A lot of venues, or?
I mean, in Edmonton here, like we had a lot of venues. I feel over time they're starting to close down one by one, which is really sad. But there's a lot of potential for bands to develop here, and I don't know. I've seen a lot of great artists come from Edmonton and then move on to like a Montreal or a Toronto. But I would not be where I am without kind of this city and the support from not only the Edmonton city, but like Alberta Foundation for the Arts, and just their desire to help see local talent kind of go on and do great things. So definitely a place for new bands to get started here.
The next thing I want to talk about is you have a new single coming out on, it's going to be up March the 2nd. The initial date I saw was the 8th, but I think it's the 2nd now. Is that right? And it's called Do It Right.
Yes.
So let's talk about that and kind of a new project for you. And is it my understanding it was on First Tape on ESPN this month, or?
Yeah, so it's been, I guess, the whole month of February. It's been on ESPN on First Take, and they've just kind of used it wherever they see fit on different montages and stuff. So that's really awesome to see that. But yeah, this new song's coming out on Friday, March 2nd, and I'm really excited about it. It's kind of the new phase of the Nuela Charles.
I was going to say, like, so what excites you about it then?
It's a push forward. I mean, it's a bit more stylistically me, I think, which is it's weird because everything is me, but I feel most comfortable in this style.
Well, maybe where you're at right now in your life too, right?
Yeah, exactly. I like to be able to change and develop and not have to do the same thing over and over again. So this was really awesome. And I was able to go to Los Angeles to co-write with Rob Kleiner.
I was going to say Grammy nominated too, right?
Yeah, for his work with Andra Day, which is like an amazing soul artist. Her voice is just divine. So that was really exciting, just to be able to get an email answered and him to say yes and agree to meet with me. So yeah, for us to actually produce something that's just top notch is even more exciting.
So I'm looking at your website, nuelacharles.com, and your songs, I guess they look like they're in a lot of, like, you're in Degrassi. Is that right? Finding Carter,
yeah.
like all there's a bunch of them here.
Yeah, I've had a lot of success on TV placements, which has been awesome. And
And
it's
how do you
def-
get those? That's what I'd like to know, or maybe someone who's listening to this as an artist. How do you move to get your music to that level?
yeah, I mean, there's different ways. Like I've worked with two different, I guess you call them licensing houses in the States. And so their main job is just to pitch songs on their roster to different potential sync opportunities. And I mean, again, like they might have three songs for one scene, but then the director picks the one that he thinks fits the best.
Right.
So you never know what's going to happen. And like for me, my first placement came, I think, 10 months after I had submitted a song. And so I had no idea that they were actually, working it or listened to it or anything. And then from then on, it just kind of snowballed into this, every couple of months there's a new, and this is really rare also, like it's not like a everyday occurrence. So
Right.
I'm really excited just to be able to keep rolling on this train.
So
So
speaking of that though, like as a young artist, do you find this is the land of opportunity for music? And I mean, you're doing some great things. And do you feel like because today there's so many ways to get your music out there, there's so many ways to get in front of people, that it's a land of opportunity? Because it can be kind of clouded, right? Because people have short attention spans today, and they can tune into so many different things and kind of put you aside and go somewhere else. But how do you feel as an artist? Do you feel like this is really a good time for music?
I mean, it's a great time for music because it allows artists to kind of do it on their own without necessarily having that label backing. But it is super clouded. So it's like, how do you get heard amongst, the thousands of songs that are released every Friday? So it's just knowing the business and, doing it to the 100% and doing it as good as you can. And so for me, it's just, I do a lot of research and a lot of reading, and I understand the business now to a point where I'm comfortable in navigating it, and I know how to put out a release so that it at least gets some exposure, and just hope that it kind of takes off from there. Because a lot of it is that viral aspect that you have
Absolutely.
no control over. So it's just getting it in front of people and hoping that it's good enough for them to, pass it on.
Well, it was good enough for somebody because your album is up for Album of the Year, as we mentioned,
Yeah.
for the Grand Hustle. So what are your expectations? Are you going to the Junos? I guess you get to go anyway. Is that how it works? You get nominated, you get invited to go, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
what's
no,
your
I
expectations
will be there.
for the Junos?
Well, I will be there for sure. I mean, can't pass that up. And I guess expectations, like I'm just going in to have a great time. I hired a great PR team, and they're going to take care of me while I'm there and just help me navigate it. Because I think it can get overwhelming if you kind of just show up. And that's really my tendency, would just to show up and be like, I'm here.
Can I pick up my award now and leave,
Yeah,
please?
exactly.
I have an after party to go to.
So there's so much more to it that, having never been, it's great to have people to help me navigate that. But I'm just excited, and I mean, freaking like Michael Bublé's in my category, so what more can I ask?
Well, he's
for?
hosting it, so
I
you're out
just-
of luck because he's not going to read your name. He's just going to read his.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want a picture, that's all. I'd be like, hey, Bublé, please.
And he does all right, I think, eh?
Yeah, no, but I'm just really excited and super, I guess, honored to have been nominated. And yeah, as an independent, it's just like, it's crazy.
And
So,
again, that's Sunday, March the 25th, the Rogers Center in Vancouver. So what else is going to happen in 2018? You have this song coming out on March the 2nd, but we're still early in the year. Do you have a forecast of what you're going to be doing for the rest of the year? Will you tour in the summer? Will you continue to write more songs?
yeah, we're playing. Well, I'm definitely going to be releasing new music, so probably another couple singles and then an EP in the fall. And then be playing some festivals this summer and hopefully a tour in the fall to go along with the EP. But really just looking over the next 2 years, the whole goal is just to release more music and then have like a full length out next year, kind of as a culmination of everything. And honestly, just to keep writing and creating stuff. so that, I do have stuff to put out.
I thought you were going to say, I thought you were going to say, I'm going to win my Juno. I'm going to get a boat and I'm going to go out on the Vancouver Harbor and I'm going to spend 2 months, out there having beverages and writing different types of songs on the water. But your story's pretty good too.
Yeah.
And
Man, that would be amazing.
For anybody listening here, Nuela Charles, Nuela Charles.com. Make sure you check out that website. This brand new song, Do It Right. Make sure you buy it on iTunes, or you're probably going to sell it on your website too. Is that right? Probably, I would think. Or?
Yeah, it'll be everywhere. Yeah.
It's always better. I always tell people to support the artist, buy it from their website, because then they don't have to pay iTunes a portion of it, right? Exactly. So NuelaCharles.com. Really appreciate your time today. Best of luck at the Junos. I'm going to be watching the Junos, so you better walk up on stage and wave to me and go, I really want to thank this guy Shane from Canada down in Niagara Falls for interviewing me, because that's why I'm winning this award, and that's my expectation from you.
I will totally do that. I will totally do that. I will write that in my speech, and then when I win, you'll be the first to be
Perfect.
picked.
I'm going to get famous somehow, and I need help, so I'm relying on you.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to this podcast. Visit Shane on Facebook at Shane C. Neal Media Personality. On Instagram at ShaneCNeal.com.